Alright guys, how to fill your HATSAN VECTIS, let's get it. Alright guys, back at you with another episode today. Today we have something very basic but very important to know about the HATSAN VECTIS 22 lever action rifle, and this also applies to the other calibers of HATSAN VECTIS rifle, as well as the Flash and Flash Pup series of guns as well. This video will also apply pretty much to any type of a PCP fill probe that you might receive that has threads on the backside instead of a Fostere fitting built in like the Deanna probes do. Now if you take a look here, this is the HATSAN VECTIS fill probe that came with the gun from the factory. These appear, upon initial inspection, if you're familiar with pipe threads at all, this appears to be 1/8 inch NPT thread, but it is actually not. It is a proprietary style thread that HATSAN uses called 1/8 BSP. Not quite sure what that stands for, but I believe it's like British Standard Pipe or something like that. I definitely feel like the first letter in the acronym means British. If you happen to know what BSP means, throw it down in the comments. Now, why is this important? This is important because even though NPT and BSP look similar and may actually thread together as far as two fittings being able to be threaded is concerned, but they are not the correct tolerances within those two thread pitches to provide a safe seal at 2800 psi fill pressure that this gun works at. So it's very important when you get a fill probe, you gotta find out whether or not your fill probe uses NPT threads or BSP threads. Now, like I said before, this is the HATSAN probe and it definitely uses the BSP threads, so we'll be using the Air Venturi Quick Disconnect 1/8 BSP thread adapter from Air Venturi, and this was sourced from Pyramid Air. These two items here came out of the bag. This is going to be your female threaded male quick disconnect fitting and your Delrin bushing, which is going to provide the seal between these two components. What you want to do is you want to just go ahead and take this Fostere fitting, drop this Delrin bushing right in there like so, and then simply thread these two together. You kind of feel that point where they get hand snug, and the directions say that these should be wrenched tight. Alright guys, now I went ahead and snugged it, but I didn't go ahead and go crazy on that. I could feel the Delrin bushing within those two components kind of compressing a little bit, and I can always go back and tighten it just a little bit more if I have some type of pinhole leak at that point. We're going to go ahead and call this good for now unless we see that a leak develops there and consider that to be tightened correctly. Now as always, we'll go ahead and listen very closely when we fill this gun for the first time to make sure that we are in a leak-free system. As far as assembling the quick disconnect itself is concerned, this is really all that there is to it. At this point, this would go into your Benjamin hand pump, this would go into your HPA compressor, this would go into the fill line from your scuba tank, whatever it was that you happen to have as your fill source. This end goes into the VECTIS, brand new O-rings, never been used, anything like that, and we should be able to utilize the same fill source that we use for our Marauder now with the VECTIS. Alright guys, while I got here, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to go ahead and load the magazines that come with the HATSAN VECTIS today. Now, the loading procedure that is described within the manual itself is kind of difficult to understand in the way that they've explained it. Now, in the way that it actually works, it's not difficult to understand at all, but their wording kind of makes it like, wow. Let's go ahead and read through the directions that were provided to us, and then I'll go ahead and show you the way that I actually load this magazine versus the way that it dictates. We got story time with Maccabee Speed, here we go. Spin the black plastic counterclockwise to release the cover from the catch point. Then, insert the pellet in backwards, skirt first into the first location. Spinning the cover in the same direction and holding the magazine in a vertical position, continue placing pellets until all positions are filled. Oddly, I feel like I have to go through a process like this when I calibrate my drone. I'm like, okay, rotate one direction, rotate the next direction, spin drone 90 degrees. It's just a magazine, guys. Come on, help me out. Once the magazine is full, spin the black plastic in the opposite direction and return the magazine to its initial position. Okay, so when I read that, I think, okay, I got this thing. Okay, I'm uncatching it. Sweet, I'm gonna load this guy in. Oh, wait, there's no hole here. Did I do it backwards? Possible. Whammo. Okay, I've got it done like this. There's not really a catch that holds it. If you try and push this clear piece over that little nub right there, you're gonna break this magazine. So there realistically is no way to have this be held like there is on the Benjamin Marauder magazine. You kind of have to pinch it closed like this. Load your first pellet in. All right, now I can go ahead and manually load that in because the magazine's not going to be closing on me. It's a workable design, but this is not the best design. So far, the best design magazine I have seen is the Benjamin Marauder magazines. Now, for obvious reasons, they asked you to go ahead and hold it in a vertical position when you loaded the rest of the pellets in it, and you go ahead and load them in skirt first. That way, when you load the magazine in, you're actually loading the magazine and you have everything going correct direction. Rotate the magazine to the first slot. Not all the way around, just right to that first slot. Pellet in skirt first. It doesn't really want to close on me right now because there's no real spring tension. And then you just spin this plastic piece back all the way around with your finger over that hole like I said. I have the second mag also here that came with the HATSAN VECTIS. Let's go ahead and load this one up also in the same fashion that I just loaded the previous. Now, it doesn't matter how easy it is or how convenient it is to do if it doesn't cycle when you go to use the rifle. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to use this little screwdriver here to act as the bolt in the rifle, and we're going to cycle each one of these rounds back into this tub that they came from. That worked really well actually. I felt like I could have gone a lot faster. I was just trying to go kind of slowly for the video. Let's go ahead and zoom in and do that one more time just so I can show you guys that the method that I showed you to load these magazines is actually 100% viable. Alright guys, I could have gone faster that time too. The screwdriver kept getting stuck inside the magazine. I'm trying to do this through a camera right now, so it's a little bit more difficult than just looking at it. I definitely think just for ergonomics and ease of use, this will be the way that I load my magazines. Alright guys, in front of you you'll notice the 22 caliber lever action HATSAN VECTIS that I reviewed earlier this week. This gun still has that same factory air charge, just getting to the bottom end of that green zone on the fill gauge. As previously stated, I hadn't been able to fill this rifle because of the lack of Fostere fitting on the fill probe. Now, I hate it when companies do stuff like this as far as not making it an easy thing for the end user to make a universal connection to their fill source. Deanna has this figured out. If you have to have a fill probe, just cast a Fostere fitting into the back end of your probe and you'll be good to go. Because we had the threaded end of it, we had to go the extra mile and put an adapter on it. Let's take the quick disconnect adapter that we made and go ahead and fill this rifle. Alright guys, I've gone ahead and flipped it over so you can get a better look at what's going on here. Let's go ahead and attempt to fill this rifle. Alright, did you guys see that? There's a bug just flew out of the hole of my HATSAN VECTIS. That is crazy. Alright guys, now this little pill here pops right out of the fill port. It basically is used to keep dust and other mosquitoes, hopefully you saw me smash that beast, out of your fill port. This is a cool feature and I'm definitely going to reinstall this plug once I'm done with this fill. Alright guys, now Honestly, I was expecting that to leak based on how easily it slid into the port, almost no effort required at all. But it had no problem charging this rifle up to the desired level of 200 bar. Alright guys, you can check it out. We've gone ahead and filled this rifle to just under the 200 bar mark. Personally, I don't like to take things to the ragged edge of what they're rated to handle. So instead of going all the way to the point where the green delineates to red there, I would rather just err on the side of caution and just slightly underfill than the maximum pressure each time. That gives me peace of mind when I start thinking about, is this an accurate gauge? Is the gauge a little bit off? Am I overfilling this rifle and potentially compromising the seals? These aren't questions that I want to have to ask myself, so instead of going through all that, I just slightly underfill it. Alright you guys, if you liked today's video, make sure you give it that thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe for more with the notification bell so you can stay current when we get going on the channel. If you really like this video, make sure you share it so that somebody else can maybe learn something about their HATSAN gun from it as well. Alright guys, well shoot safe and I'll catch you in the next one.